In every successful small business, there's one employee who is absolutely indispensable. They are the rainmaker who closes the biggest deals. They're the creative genius who comes up with all the best ideas. They're the master problem solver who can fix anything that breaks. They're the undeniable engine of the business, the source of its quality and drive. And in almost every business that I've ever worked with, that employee is you. It's the founder. It's the owner of the business. Now, it feels like strength first, right? It feels like a badge of honor to be the most talented, the most essential, the most important person in the room. But I'm here to tell you that this feeling, this identity is actually a trap. And while it may have been the very thing that made your business successful, it is now the single biggest threat to its future and also to your own freedom. And that's the founder's trap. It's a paradox where your greatest asset, which is your personal skill, slowly and silently becomes your company's greatest liability. So here's what that looks like in the real world. Let's say you are a marketing agency owner, then you're the one who has to personally review every ad campaign before it goes live because you're the only one with the magic touch, right? If you run a construction company, then you're the one who has to be on site for every critical phase because you're the only one who can guarantee the real quality. If you're a consultant, then the entire business is literally built on your brain and your time. If you're not in a meeting, you're not making money. Do you see the pattern? The business has become a stage and basically you are the only actor who knows all the lines. So you haven't built a business. What you've actually built is a very demanding and a very stressful job for yourself. So a true business is an asset. It's a, profitable enterprise that works without you. But what most founders have is a profitable enterprise, but it only works because of you, right? And there's a huge difference between those two statements. So when your business is completely dependent on you, it has a hard, invisible ceiling. It can only grow to the absolute limit of your own personal time and your own personal energy, right? And if you're watching this, you're probably already feeling the cracks in that ceiling. It means you can never take a real disconnected vacation. Maybe you're on the beach, but your mind and your laptop are basically back at the office. You're putting out fires. The business can't function for more than, let's say, 48 hours without your input. It also means that if you get sick, the business is in trouble. A week of the flu for you might mean a week of stalled projects, unhappy clients, lost revenue for the company. The entire company is as fragile as your own health. So if you have an emergency, you might be in big trouble, right? And maybe the most painful realization for founders who dream of an exit one day is that your asset is completely unsellable because you can't sell a job. A buyer isn't just buying your company, they're buying your team and your client list. But if the magic that holds it all together is locked inside your head, then the moment you walk out the door, the value walks with you, right? You're trapped on a hamster wheel of your own creation. You're running faster and faster. You take it on more and more just to keep the business at the same level. But there's no clear path of ever getting off. So it's basically like a never-ending treadmill for you. And the hustle that once felt, exciting, it's starting to feel just exhausting after a while. The only way to escape this trap is to make a fundamental shift in your identity. So that's the most difficult and the most important evolution that a business owners can ever make. So you have to willingly and intentionally make yourself less essential and less important to the business. So you have to evolve basically from being the master technician in your business to becoming a true business owner. So let's define those two different approaches or different two roles. So basically, they're completely different. They're worlds apart. So the technician's job, or what I call the hustler, is to do the work, right? So they're a master of whatever their technical skills are. They're focused on delivering for today's clients and they're solving today's problems. Their entire value is in their personal execution. But the business owner's job is actually to build the system that does the work. So they should become a master of designing the systems and their business and leverage, right? So they're focused on creating a business that can serve the clients tomorrow and in the future without their direct involvement. So that's a big difference. So their value is in their ability to create assets, systems, processes, and teams that get results. And you cannot be both at the same time. Because every hour you spend on, delivery, every hour you spend as a hustler is an hour that you can't spend designing the business, designing the system. So how do you make this shift? Okay, it's not like a single event. It's basically a new way of thinking that you have to apply every single day. So every time a problem or a task comes your way, you have to consciously reject the hustler's impulse and you got to choose the business owner's response. So let's make this real. So let's say a potential high-value client submits an inquiry on your website. Now, the hustler's impulse is to say, I'll handle this myself. It's too important. I want to just quickly do it, right? So you jump in, you write the email, or you take the call, whatever it is, and you solve the problem for today. But now you also reinforce the idea that you're the only one who can handle important sales conversations. The business owner's response is different. They'll pause and they'll ask a better question, right? They'll say, okay, what is the perfect, repeatable process for qualifying and responding to a high-level, very important lead? And they might take, an extra hour or maybe two, and they create a simple script. So they record maybe a short Loom video explaining the process, or they create a sales playbook, and then they hand that system to a team member and train them to run it. Do you see the difference? So the hustler solved the problem in 20 minutes. The business owner invested maybe 2 hours to solve the problem forever. Big difference, right? They didn't just handle a lead, they built a lead handling asset, a system. So now you can apply this logic to everything. When a client has a common problem, the hustler solves it, but the business owner creates a customer service playbook and a help center so the team can solve it next time without them, right? And when it's time to send the invoices, again, the hustler does it themselves to make sure it's right and faster, right? But the business owner designs a foolproof invoicing checklist and then delegates it. Now, you shift from being the doer of the work to basically the architect of the work, right? You design the systems and then the systems do the work, of course, being run by your team members, right? Now, here's the truth. Your business cannot grow beyond the identity that you hold for yourself. If you see yourself as the star player, the most important person in the business, then you will always be stuck on the field and you're always, running every play. Like you're playing, you're the talent, basically. But to build a championship team, you have to be willing to become basically the coach, right? Your goal as a founder is not to be the most valuable employee. Your goal is to build a company full of valuable employees and valuable systems and an organization that's bigger than any one person, because this doesn't apply just to you as the owner, but to any other person in your business, right? Quite often, the most important player might also be somebody else on your team who knows everything about how your business should run. And if they leave or something happens to them, you're in the same trouble. So the principles always apply. But basically, your value must shift. It must evolve from being about your personal skill and your personal hours to being about your ability to build a platform, a system, a business, a machine that allows other skilled people to get consistent, high-quality results. That's your job, and that's the only path to true scale. And that's the only path also to true freedom for yourself personally. Now, the business that depends entirely on you will always be limited by you. So it's a cage, and no matter how, goal it is, right? The business that you intentionally build to run without you has no limits. If your product, if your service is good, it's just how far you can scale. It's a vehicle for your vision. So you want to stop being the most talented employee and start the real work of becoming the business owner and start building that business today.